Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's video. We're going to have a look at the weather for the next 10 to 14 days for today's video. Day 10 will take us to the 25th of October, and we'll be able to extend out beyond that with steady GFS and ECM ensembles that may run around a couple of weeks. Have a look at the CFS V2 at the end of the video for November. I shall get on with that for you in a moment. Just to say that the first video released today was our 7 AM forecast, and I've also released GMA Friday as well. Please check out those two if you'd like to be back. You'll be live streaming after 10 o'clock tonight, so I'll see you live then at the end of this video. I'll tell you what's coming up over the weekend. Right, so let's begin then just having a look at central in temperatures. So the city is still holding steady at 12.9, not really moving a great deal at the moment. That's 1.2 degrees above average. That will probably tick down a little bit over the next day or so. It has turned a little bit cooler now. And then it will probably rise up into the 13s for the early part of next week. And that'll probably be as high as it gets. And then I think, like, through the second half of the month, it will gradually start to decline. But I imagine it'll be another above average month. That's what I'm anticipating. So I reckon we'll probably finish up somewhere in the 11s in the end. But we shall see about that, of course. GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles are looking like this. On a gloss up today in Derbyshire. So the red line is the 30-year upper air temperature average for Gloucester. We're starting off below average at the moment. As I say, temperature has turned a little bit colder, but the upper air temperatures and the surface temperatures will be lifting up over weekend and into next week. It is going to become very mild or even warm, actually, for a time early next week, Monday and Tuesday. And then there's a significant drop in the temperature taking place as we go beyond that into the second half of next week. And then through the last week of October, we just look very close to average, but perhaps a little bit up and down, a little bit of a zonal sine wave. I think probably more dramatic for next week, once that warm weather is out the way anyway, is going to be precipitation. So there's going to be like 2 or 3 more dry days to come. The dry spell is set to continue for the time being, but not for much longer. And from like Sunday through next week and on then towards the end of October, just loads and loads of precipitation spikes. So we've talked about this a lot in the videos lately. It does look as though the last sort of 10 days or so of October are going to be significantly wetter compared to what we've had throughout this month so far. I mean, that's going to be one of the wetter places in the country because it's very high up in the Derbyshire peaks, so you know, it's elevated, therefore it will get heavier rainfall than, say, central London, but nevertheless it is going to be a more unsettled final week or so of the month. That's a suggested location, by the way, Gloucester, for this part of the video, so if you'd like to have your local town or city featured within this part of the video, then please let me know through the comments or email me at GavsWeatherVids@gmail.com. Thank you so much for doing that. Right, temperature anomalies on the 15th to 23rd of October, going to be above average. Although notice Scandinavia is turning colder. Going to be some early snowfalls there, maybe quite significant snowfalls over Scandinavia next week. More about that in the winter update, perhaps, on Sunday morning. Precipitation anomalies from the 15th to 23rd of October, going to be wetter than average across much of Northern Europe anyway. And of course, the cold average temperature anomalies over Scandinavia, a lot of that will be snowfall. Off on a tangent, for the UK and for Ireland, our precipitation anomalies very close to average. Clearly, it is more unsettled compared to what we've had over the past few days. And bear in mind, that does include like the next 2 or 3 days that will be pretty dry. So these are going to train wetter, I think, with time over the next 2 or 3 days. Latest wind flow map from earthnullschool.net shows that we are under an area of high pressure at the moment. However, have got lots of low pressure in the Atlantic, particularly this deep area of low pressure just here. And there's a very, very active weather front that's connecting with that. That is only going in one direction. That's our direction. And that's going to be the feature that eventually breaks down this area of high pressure by the end of the weekend and into next week. You will notice, though, that ahead of that low, so the centre of the low is just there. It's a very deep area of low pressure indeed. But ahead of it, where we've got this weather front, we are also bringing up a long fetch southwesterly to southerly wind. So that's where the increase in temperature is coming from. There's a lot of warm air around here, and that's going to be pushed our way ahead below. But eventually below will push through, and behind it, of course, will bring the air in from Greenland, and things will cool down significantly early or through the middle part of next week. Right, so let's have a look at the generic charts. Let me say UK Met is looking for Monday. So the ridge is breaking down basically on Monday, and low pressure is pushing in from off the Atlantic through to Tuesday. It is a very warm southwesterly being drawn in with that, but also a lot of heavy rain, very moisture laden. So Tuesday through to Wednesday looks really wet as this low pressure pushes through. And then into the second half next week, that low pressure will transfer to Scandinavia. The wind will turn into the northwest or even the north. So temperatures will do a real plummet in the second half of next week. And we may even see some snow coming down to quite low levels with that across the northern parts of Scotland. Wintry showers maybe for other parts of Scotland. And even in the south, like we could get some overnight frost, I think, by the time we get through to the weekend of the 23rd to 24th of October as this little transient ridge begins to move in. So big changes next week. It'll be an interesting week's weather, an interesting weekend forecast coming up tomorrow, I think. This is how the GFS midnight rain is looking. Again, Monday we're breaking down that ridge. We're bringing the weather system in off the Atlantic with that warm southwesterly wind. Tuesday looks very mild. Could even say warm. We might get temperature around 20 or 21 degrees in the southeast corner. That's around 70 Fahrenheit. But it's moisture laden. There's going to be loads of rain piling in from off the Atlantic with that. And then through Wednesday, that low pressure pushes in from the west, clears away the warm, but will bring heavy rain with it. And then we turn wind into the northwest. So we go to Thursday, the low pressure transfers Scandinavia. The wind pulls into the northwest. It looks much colder through the second half of next week. The showers turning wintry, perhaps even to quite low levels across northern parts of Scotland. And then into the weekend of the 23rd, 24th of October, we get this ridge toppling in. So that's where the risk of overnight frost will come from. Even down in the south, I think there might be some frost there with that. First frost of the season. Doesn't last all that long, I have to say. By the 24th, Sunday 24th, running up towards day 10, we're back into milder, wetter and windier weather again with another bout of heavy rain and gale force sweeping across the country. Gale force wind sweeping across the country. Day 10 looking really unsettled, low pressure over top of the country. And this unsettled weather then just carries on right the way to the very end of the GFS midnight run, which today gets us to Halloween, 31st of October, Sunday 31st. Right, let's have a look at the 6 Ben. This is the very latest. So once more, we're breaking down the ridge on Monday, turning very mild, if not warm, but wet through the early part of next week. Then genuinely wet and windy, and much cooler by the time we get through into Wednesday. Then the low pressure clears away to the east by Thursday, and into Friday, winds pull into the north. It becomes much colder. Showers could turn wintry in the north. Overnight frost is possible, even down to the south on Friday night into Saturday next week under this little transient ridge of high pressure. That is then quickly swept away by the next low moving in from off the Atlantic. That brings spells of wet weather across the country once again. Up to date channel just beyond it. High pressure tries to build to our east. Low pressure is attempted to come in from off the Atlantic. So a little bit of a battle going on. Still looks really quite unsettled though, I have to say. And right way up to the end of GFS 6 which again gets us to 31st of October, looking unsettled with low pressure bringing spells of rain and pretty strong winds too. GM looks like this. If you enjoyed the video, please smash the like button, make sure to sub to the channel. Thank you so much for doing that, and drop a comment, let us know what you think about this and all of our videos. We only need to put on around 7 subscribers now to get to 12.3k. We're getting ever closer to 12,300 subscribers, so please give us a sub and get us to our next mini target of 12.3k. Thank you so much for doing that. Okay, so the GM breaking down the ridge again on Monday. Tuesday, warm southwesterlies but wet. Wednesday, deep low pressure coming in off the Atlantic will bring lots of wet weather across the country through the middle part of next week. As the low clears away east, will turn the wind into the north. It will become a lot cooler or colder for the second half of next week as well. Into the weekend of the 23rd of October, we've got a little transient ridge building there with the GEM. That will give us risk of overnight frost even in the south, and then that's quickly swept aside as the next low rolls in as we go to day 10, which does look particularly cool, wet and unsettled. This is a huge change we've got going on here for next week. And then the ECM, again, we see that ridge is breaking on Monday. Very mild or warm southwesterly on Tuesday, but wet. And low pressure moves in, cuts off the southwesterly, return cooler, but stay very unsettled through the middle part of next week. And then end of next week, that low pressure clears away to the east, turn windy to the north. Under this transient ridge, there will be a risk of some overnight frosts at the end of next week. Then the ridge sort of declines as we move into weekend 23rd, 24th of October. It turns wet and windy once again, as we get to day 10, which is the 25th of October, we're flat and westerly, with showers and longer spells of rain, and cooler as well, particularly so in the north. All much of a muchness today, I have to say, with these charts. All very, very much of a muchness for next week, like the next week to 10 days. Right, this is Rainfall Forecast based on that ECM run from Tometeo.com. So initially, as the ridge is breaking down, rain is going to be primarily in the north and west, very little in the south and the southeast, until we get to the beginning of next week, and then it just turns more generally unsettled with bouts of rain moving in from off the Atlantic, turning very, very unsettled through the middle of next week, very wet, and then it turns drier but also colder as winds turn into the north under this little transient ridge at the end of next week, but it's not long before the next bouts of rain moving in from off the Atlantic. So loads of wind and rain to come. Right, so these are the updates on the table within the ECM ensembles day 4, day 10, which gets us to the 25th of October from the Icelandic Met Office. Icelandic Met Office, we have 25 members of the ECM ensemble showing deep low pressure over country and to our east, cool and wet. With that, 14 with low pressure to our north, and again we're bringing winds from a westerly direction that can be very unsettled, and 12 again with low pressure to our east. So they're all driving in low pressure around day 10. They all look quite unsettled. The only difference is in the exact position and placement of the lows. In 2 weeks' time, these are the options that we've got. Will get us to the 30th of October. 22 members of the ECM ensembles will have low pressure over the country still, so end of October looks very unsettled with those. 16 low pressure just to our north, higher pressure to the south. That's trying to turn things a little bit drier, but probably still actually quite unsettled, to be honest. And then 13, a minority option, building up some high pressure. Obviously, that's going to be turning things drier. And should actually be quite mild with that, although, you know, it's under high pressure at the end of October, which you wouldn't think would be particularly mild. But with that, we're probably bringing up wind from like a southwesterly direction. So that could be a mild and dry end to October. Of course, with that, we do have to think about fog and whatnot. Right, so lastly, we just have a look at CFS V2 for November. This is the latest 700 millibar height anomaly for November. Looks quite interesting, actually. This going for above average heights, high pressure, be centered around Greenland and Iceland. So actually, like some northern blocking is going on there. But the ridge is also extending down through the western side of Europe. If you come over here, you can see the ridge extending down through like Germany and into the Med. So although like we are under high pressure and it is like a little blocky signal really, it's probably actually quite mild, bringing wind up from a south-southwest direction. However, it looks very strange that. And only a very slight adjustment would lead to colder conditions. But cold weather is here across eastern and northeast parts of Europe and western Russia with this trough of low pressure. That's where the jet stream digging down, sort of down the eastern side of Europe and through the west of Russia and just into like northeastern parts of Europe. But it is quite a strange anomaly. If we bat this ridge further westwards, then we'll bat the trough further westwards, and that could bring cold weather into the north and the west of Europe if we did that. As it is, the temperature anomaly is a little bit above average, not excessively so. Remember, we're in about big ridge, so you would expect quite a lot of frost and fog going on, probably with that. And the precipitation anomaly is close to average, no particular signal, but of course it's high pressure dominating, and a relatively dry month would be likely as well. It's a strange anomaly, and we are seeing the CFS like swinging from day to day with these charts for November, so I don't think the CFS got all that much of a clue about what's going on in November at the moment, so we should wait and see about that. And if you saw JMA Friday, you'll know, but CFS and JMA don't really have much of an idea of, sort of beyond the end of October, to be honest. They do look very, very uncertain today. Right, so that's it for your uploads, but we are going to be back after 10 o'clock with the Friday night live stream. So it's going to be a little bit of a laugh after 10. I shall see you then. Tomorrow, we're going to start off at 7 a.m. forecast. We're going to have the ECM WF 42-day forecast, 6 weeks look ahead, taking us to the end of November. So you'll see tomorrow what the ECM is forecasting for November. Weekend forecast going to be interesting. Weekend look ahead, I think. And also 10 to 14 day. And then on Sunday, we shall have 7 a.m. forecast. We'll have part 1 of the 7th winter 2021-2022 update. Going to be a solar special this week. Part 2 of that will be coming on Monday. And 7th update is going to be solar special. So that's going to be a very, very interesting winter update this week, to say the least. And there'll be live streaming at 6 p.m. on Sunday. It's going to be like a long range live stream, but it will also be my birthday live stream as well. So that's going to be nice to hang out with all of you on my birthday for an hour or so on Sunday. It'll be a very pleasant evening, hopefully. Right, you enjoy the rest of your Friday, and I shall see you later on for our Friday night live stream. But for this video, that's all for now, and thanks for watching.